Peter King. He represents a huge chunk of Long Island right now. Congressman, thanks for coming in. What are you hearing from your constituents there in Suffolk County and Nassau County, not far away from where Anna was just reporting?
Yeah, I really concur with everything Anna said. This is going to be brutal. And in many ways, the storm has barely begun. When the brunt of it is going to start, it's going to be absolutely horrific. The concern, as you said, is not just the snow. That can be taken care of. But the power outages and the flooding along the south shore of Long Island, I can tell you that Nassau County, Suffolk County, Town of Hempstead, Oyster Bay, Babylon, Islip, all of them have all of their highway crews ready to go. But again, it's going to be a rough 36, 48 hours ahead.
Yeah, because you think of hurricanes, you don't think of this time of the year there's going to be a hurricane. But if there's 60 or 70 mile an hour winds coming in off the Atlantic, that could be devastating, coupled with the, let's say, 2 or 3 feet of snow.
I was just talking to my daughter in Wantor. She said the snow is extremely wet. And that's bad because that means it'll stick to the branches. They can come down, cause the power lines to come down, cause severe power outages. But again, one thing I'm very confident about, the towns, whether Democrat, Republican, Nassau or Suffolk, and the county executives, they are ready to go. They have their troops all ready to be deployed. Same with Mayor de Blasio in the city. Everyone is coming together on this.
And you think that the Governor Cuomo, is doing a good job right now?
Right now, he's doing an excellent job, yeah. And all of us should really stand together on this. But everything the governor says, especially about getting off the roads, anyone who goes out on the road tonight is crazy. And it's bad enough for them. I almost don't care what happens to them and what it can cause for others and the dangers it can cause.
I know you represent your district here in Washington, D.C. Is there anything you need from the federal government right now that is not being made available?
No, right now I think the federal government is doing all it can do. Obviously, if there's damage afterwards, I would expect the federal government to step in and give us the help and relief that we need. But right now, we have enough troubles, and it's to get the job done, get that snow off the ground, and get the power lines back up if and when they go down, which they probably will.
And at some point, they're going to have to assess the financial damage that all of this is going to cause. At some point, somebody's going to have to help pay for this, right?
Well, we had a bad experience during Sandy. I hope we don't have that again. I hope the federal government comes forward, steps forward, does what has to be done. And again, that flooding along the south shore of Long Island, that can be devastating. We're very concerned about that.
I remember how hard you worked to get that money from Sandy. You had some serious problems, not only with a few Democrats, but a bunch of Republicans didn't want to come through with the cash either, right?
That was rough. Hopefully everyone learned their lesson from that. We're one country. We're one. When something like this happens, we have to stand together.
Yeah. Let me quickly pick your brain on this drone that flew over the White House residence at 3 a.m. this morning and then sort of crash landed, if it did crash land, near the south lawn of the White House, not very far away. You're on the Homeland Security Committee, the Intelligence Committee. This is very worrisome to the Secret Service.
Yes, not just the Secret Service. Well, if this could replicate itself in sports arenas, stadiums, outdoor facilities throughout the country, there are countermeasures. I can't go into whether or not they were used here or not, whether or not they were broken. Fact is, though, this is something that requires and is getting tremendous attention from the Secret Service, Homeland Security, branches of government. But this is really, in many ways, like the modern version or the latest version of the car bomb, because it's going to be difficult and it can strike anywhere, and we have to make sure that we're fully ready for it.
These drones, they're very available, and if you put a plastic bomb on it or some sort of anthrax or whatever, that could be devastating.
It certainly could. And again, as I mentioned, obviously the White House, the president is having an event on the South Lawn with foreign leaders. That's number one. But just, again, a football game, baseball game, any type of athletic event outdoors. So there is real concern, and there's a lot of research going on, a lot of work happening. But again, it has to be done. This is a new weapon that could be utilized against us.
Because there are all sorts of capabilities, anti-aircraft missiles and surface-to-air missiles, stuff like that around Washington, D.C. But you can't use that with a small 2 or 3 foot drone.
Oh, well, as you and I were discussing before, the Iron Dome wouldn't work here. This is something that has to be done. And again, it's getting a lot of effort, a lot of research, but we still have a ways to go.
I've spoken with some officials who are really worried that, let's say this is nothing. This is just some individual at 3 o'clock in the morning deciding to go ahead and fly a drone out there, and they got carried away for whatever reason.
Right.
Let's say there's nothing sinister out there. But it does give, and this is what officials have said to me, sinister ideas to terrorists or sympathizers or others, and they're deeply concerned about that.
Well, that's it. I mean, now that it's out there, this is a concern we've had, but now that it's actually happened at the White House, and it was probably a harmless event, we hope, but the fact is others are going to see it now. This could incentivize people. There's lone wolves they worry about, or just the average nut who's out there can feel incentivized to act.
Is there new legislation based on everything you've studied this now for a while that's needed to deal with this potential problem out there, the easy availability of commercial drones?
We're going to have to look at this, yes. We have to have restrictions in place because, again, the danger is there. And so, yes, I'm saying yes. And I can tell you Homeland Security Committee, others are looking at this, and also the FBI, Homeland Security, are very, very concerned.
It's a very worrisome development. Congressman, thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Congressman Peter King of New York. We're tracking this